Good morning, everyone. People often underestimate the power emotions have over their decisions. Every day we encounter situations that provoke a reaction. Anger when someone disrespects us, sadness when we feel unappreciated, fear when facing uncertainty. These emotions are natural, but the problem arises when we allow them to dictate our actions. Many of life's biggest mistakes stem from reacting in the heat of the moment rather than taking a step back to think rationally. If we let emotions control us, we surrender our ability to make logical, strategic choices. Think about a time when you said something in anger and later regretted it. Maybe it was an argument with a loved one, a moment of frustration with a coworker, or a rash decision made because you felt slighted. In that instant, your emotions took the driver's seat and your logic took a back seat. When the anger faded, you were left with the consequences of words you couldn't take back. This is what happens when emotions control our actions. They create a temporary sense of relief, but often lead to long-term regret. On the flip side, think of a time when you faced a difficult situation but stayed calm. Instead of reacting impulsively, you paused, analyzed, and responded with a level head. The outcome was likely much better because you acted from a place of control rather than chaos. This is the power of emotional discipline. It allows you to take control of your life instead of being at the mercy of fleeting feelings. One of the biggest misconceptions is that controlling your emotions means suppressing them. That's not the case. You are human, and you will feel anger, sadness, frustration, or even fear. The goal isn't to eliminate these feelings, but to manage them effectively. It's about understanding that just because you feel something doesn't mean you have to act on it. There is a difference between experiencing an emotion and allowing that emotion to dictate your behavior. Imagine being in a high-stakes business negotiation. The other party tries to provoke you, hoping you will react emotionally and make a rash decision. If you take the bait, you lose control and they gain the upper hand. But if you remain calm, process what is happening, and respond with clarity and strategy, you maintain your power. This principle applies to all areas of life, whether in relationships, career, or personal growth. Those who learn to master their emotions hold an undeniable advantage over those who don't. Social media, news, and everyday interactions constantly push emotional triggers, whether it's outrage over a controversial topic or envy from comparing yourself to others. If you don't control your reactions, you become a puppet to external influences. Emotional discipline is a skill that requires practice, but the rewards are immense. When you master it, you make decisions that serve your future rather than ones that merely satisfy your emotions in the moment. Ultimately, emotions should be acknowledged, but never allowed to dictate the course of your life. The moment you realize you can choose your responses instead of letting emotions choose for you is the moment you step into true power. Every day, life presents challenges that test our patience, resilience, and discipline. Whether it's a frustrating conversation, an unexpected setback, or a personal struggle, emotions naturally rise to the surface. Most people react instinctively, letting those emotions drive their decisions. But what if, instead of reacting impulsively, you took a step back? What if you learned to separate your feelings from your actions? That's where true strength lies. Controlling your emotions doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you don't let those feelings control you. Imagine standing in a storm. The wind is howling, the rain is pouring, and the world around you is in chaos. But you remain still, unshaken, because you know that the storm will pass. This is what emotional control looks like. No matter what is happening around you, you do not allow external forces to shake your inner stability. Too many people live their lives at the mercy of their emotions, constantly being pushed around by circumstances, allowing temporary feelings to dictate long-term consequences. Think about the way emotions influence decision-making. Fear prevents people from taking necessary risks. Anger leads to burned bridges and damaged relationships. Impulsivity creates regret. Now, Imagine approaching these situations differently. Instead of snapping in frustration, you take a deep breath. Instead of letting anxiety paralyze you, you remind yourself that fear is just a feeling, not a fact. Instead of reacting, you pause, analyze, and choose your response wisely. Many people confuse emotional control with suppression. Suppression is bottling up feelings, pretending they don't exist. That's not sustainable, and it usually leads to an eventual explosion. Emotional control is different. It means acknowledging what you feel, but deciding how to act in response. It's the difference between being controlled by emotions and being in control of emotions. You may feel anger, but you don't lash out. You may feel fear, but you don't let it stop you. You may feel sadness, but you don't drown in it. Discipline in emotions also strengthens your personal and professional relationships. People respect those who remain calm under pressure. Leaders who master their emotions earn trust and admiration. Friends and family members who can regulate their feelings contribute to healthy, stable relationships. The ability to remain composed when others are losing control is a rare and valuable skill. It's important to develop strategies to keep emotions in check. Practicing deep breathing, stepping away from heated situations, or simply pausing before reacting can make all the difference. Taking the time to understand why you feel a certain way can also help you manage your responses. Over time, this practice builds mental resilience. You stop being a person who reacts and start being a person who responds with purpose. Mastering emotional control does not happen overnight. It requires conscious effort and practice, but the results are undeniable. When you stop allowing emotions to dictate your life, you step into a level of power that most people never reach. You become stronger, wiser, and unshakable, no longer swayed by every passing storm. In life, emotions are a powerful force. They can drive us toward greatness, but they can also lead us into destruction. The key is learning to recognize when emotions are helping us and when they are leading us astray. Many people allow their emotions to dictate their actions without ever questioning whether those emotions are valid or useful in the moment. They react instead of responding. They let anger, fear, or frustration make choices for them, and later they deal with the consequences. But there is a better way. A way that puts you in control instead of being controlled. The ability to detach from emotions in moments of high intensity is a skill that can change everything. It allows you to make rational decisions, avoid unnecessary conflict, and protect your peace. Think about how many mistakes in life happen because of an emotional reaction. A heated argument that damages a relationship, a rash decision made in frustration, a fear-driven avoidance of opportunity. When you learn to separate emotions from your decision-making process, you gain the ability to act based on logic, wisdom, and long-term thinking rather than temporary feelings. Detaching from emotions doesn't mean ignoring them or pretending they don't exist. It means recognizing them for what they are, signals, not dictators. When anger rises, instead of immediately responding, you can step back and ask, is this anger justified? Will acting on this anger help me, or will it make things worse? The same goes for fear. Before you let it stop you from taking action, you can ask yourself, is this fear protecting me from real danger, or is it just my mind trying to keep me in my comfort zone? By asking these questions, you create space between the emotion and your action. This ability to pause and reflect before reacting is the foundation of emotional discipline. It allows you to see situations more clearly, preventing you from making choices that you'll later regret. It helps you maintain self-respect and composure in moments where others might lose control. It gives you the power to decide who you are rather than letting circumstances decide for you. Another benefit of mastering emotional detachment is the way it affects your relationships. When you no longer react impulsively to every disagreement or criticism, you become someone that others respect and admire. People are drawn to those who remain calm in the face of chaos. They look up to those who can handle conflict with grace and logic rather than hostility and emotional outbursts. By controlling your emotions, you set a higher standard for yourself and for those around you. Emotional detachment also protects your mental peace. The world is filled with negativity, stress, and distractions. If you absorb every negative emotion that comes your way, you will constantly feel drained and overwhelmed. But if you learn to observe emotions without being consumed by them, you become unshakable. You move through life with clarity, strength, and confidence, making decisions based on wisdom instead of fleeting feelings. That is true power. Many people believe that turning off their emotions means becoming cold, distant, or uncaring. But that's not the case. True emotional control isn't about shutting down. It's about knowing when to engage and when to step back. It's about choosing your battles, protecting your energy, and not letting every little thing affect you. Too often we let our emotions take the driver's seat, allowing anger, frustration, or sadness to dictate our actions. But when you master emotional discipline, you don't react on impulse. You respond with intention. One of the biggest reasons to control your emotions is to avoid being manipulated. In this world, people will test you. They will push your buttons, provoke you, and try to get a reaction out of you. Why? Because if they can control your emotions, they can control you. Think about it. If someone knows they can make you angry, they can use that anger against you. If they know they can guilt trip you into doing something, they have power over you. But when you refuse to be easily moved, you take back control. You stop being a puppet and you start making decisions from a place of strength, not weakness. Emotional control also allows you to protect your inner peace. The truth is, life is unpredictable. You will face disappointments, betrayals, setbacks, and challenges. If you let every negative situation shake you, you will live in a constant state of stress and instability. But if you learn to observe situations without immediately reacting, you gain a different kind of power, the power to remain unshaken. This doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending emotions don't exist. It means acknowledging them, but not allowing them to dictate your actions. Think about the most successful and respected people in the world. They don't break down over every minor inconvenience. They don't let their emotions get the best of them in moments of pressure. Instead, they remain composed, calm, and collected. That's what makes them leaders. When you control your emotions, you gain the ability to handle difficult situations with a level head. You become the person others look to in times of crisis. You become the one who can think clearly when everyone else is panicking. Another key benefit of emotional control is the way it impacts your mental and physical health. Stress, anxiety, and frustration take a toll on the body. When you allow emotions to constantly overwhelm you, you weaken yourself both mentally and physically. But when you learn to regulate your emotions, you reduce stress, make better decisions, and improve your overall well-being. You stop wasting energy on things that don't serve you, and you start focusing on what truly matters. At the end of the day, emotions are tools, not masters. You can feel them, acknowledge them, and use them to your advantage, but you should never let them control you. The moment you stop reacting to everything and start choosing how you respond, you step into a new level of power. You become unbreakable. You become unstoppable. One of the most overlooked aspects of emotional control is how it affects your relationships. When you allow emotions to dictate your words and actions, you risk damaging the very connections that matter most. How many times have people ruined friendships, strained family ties, or even ended careers because they let anger, jealousy, or insecurity get the best of them? A moment of emotional weakness can have lifelong consequences. But when you master your emotions, You learn to navigate relationships with clarity and intention rather than impulsive reactions. Think about how conflicts usually escalate. Most of the time, it's not about the actual problem. It's about the way people react to it. Someone says something disrespectful, and instead of addressing it calmly, you react with the same level of aggression. Now, what could have been a simple conversation turns into an argument. Instead of resolving the issue, emotions take over and the situation spirals out of control. But imagine if you had the ability to pause, assess the situation, and choose a response that keeps the conversation productive rather than destructive. That's the power of emotional control. People respect those who can maintain their composure in difficult situations. When you control your emotions, you become someone others trust and rely on. No one wants to deal with someone who is unpredictable, reactive, or overly sensitive. But when you display emotional stability, people see you as dependable, wise, and strong. They know that no matter what happens, you will approach things with a level head. This is especially important in leadership roles, whether in business, family, or personal relationships. Leaders who react emotionally lose credibility, but those who remain composed inspire confidence. Another critical aspect of emotional control is learning how to set boundaries. There will always be people who try to test your patience, drain your energy, or manipulate your emotions. If you don't have control over your feelings, you'll find yourself constantly affected by their negativity. But when you learn to detach emotionally from situations that don't serve you, you stop giving people that power. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to respond to every provocation. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Emotional control also helps you avoid unnecessary regrets. Many people act on emotion and later wish they had handled things differently. They say things they don't mean, make impulsive decisions, or push people away because they couldn't control their reactions in the moment. But when you practice emotional discipline, you minimize these regrets. You give yourself time to think before you act, ensuring that your words and actions align with your values and long-term goals, rather than short-term emotions. The ability to regulate your emotions is not about suppression, it's about mastery. It's about knowing when to express yourself and when to hold back. It's about ensuring that you are in control of your emotions rather than allowing them to control you. And when you reach that level of mastery, you will find that your relationships, your decisions, and your overall life will improve in ways you never imagined. When you control your emotions, you take command of your destiny. Many people let their feelings dictate their actions, leading them to make choices that sabotage their progress. But when you master your emotions, you become the driver of your own life instead of a passenger being tossed around by circumstance. Emotions are fleeting, but the consequences of acting on them without thought can be long-lasting. Every decision you make today shapes your future. And if those decisions are based on temporary feelings rather than long-term wisdom, you may find yourself stuck in cycles of regret. Think about how many people have ruined opportunities because they acted out of anger, jealousy, or fear. A person loses their temper at work and gets fired. A jealous partner accuses their significant other of things they never did, damaging trust beyond repair. Someone afraid of failure refuses to take risks, so they never grow. Emotional reactions can rob you of opportunities before you even realize what's happening. But if you can pause and evaluate before acting, you allow reason and logic to guide your choices, rather than fleeting emotions. Life is unpredictable, and challenges will always come. If you let every setback shake you, you'll constantly feel defeated. But if you learn to separate your emotions from reality, you can face difficulties with strength. When you train your mind to stay calm, you stop reacting to every minor inconvenience as if it's the end of the world. Instead, you develop the ability to step back, analyze the situation, and move forward with clarity. This mindset separates those who succeed from those who struggle. People who can regulate their emotions also find inner peace. When you constantly allow yourself to be controlled by external events, you live in a state of stress and frustration. But when you refuse to let the outside world dictate your internal state, you become unshakable. No matter what happens around you, whether someone offends you, disappoints you, or tries to provoke you, you stay in control. This is true freedom. The ability to remain unaffected by the chaos of the world. Emotional control also allows you to build a strong mindset, one that is focused on purpose rather than distractions. People who cannot manage their emotions are easily pulled in different directions, wasting energy on things that don't matter. They dwell on past mistakes, overthink things they cannot change, and let small inconveniences ruin their entire day. But when you take charge of your emotions, you train your mind to focus on what's truly important. Instead of getting caught up in temporary frustrations, you keep your eyes on your goals. At the end of the day, emotional control is a skill that sets you apart. It allows you to make better decisions, build stronger relationships, and remain focused on your purpose. It is not about suppressing feelings, but about ensuring that emotions serve you rather than sabotage you. When you master this skill, you become unstoppable, be able to navigate life with confidence, wisdom, and unshakable strength.